Hi, I'm Greg from RVHaulers. We're located here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and you will see behind me a Volvo Model 730. I have been looking for one of these trucks for 2 years, and you may see on my website that I found one just before this. I named it Calder. Well, the one behind me, I'd like to introduce you to Drift. A little bit of a story about how I came about this truck. These are very difficult trucks to find. They don't make too many of them, and they're not very common on the road. Because of their lower sleeper. I mean, we like them because aesthetically or visually the lower mid-rise sleeper kind of looks good in front of our trailers, but they're the toughest truck to find. I was looking for 2 years to find one of these. Well, what happened is I finally located a really nice one, and I got the word out through that couple that I was looking for 730s. And they happened to know another couple that was wanting to get out of their truck and into a newer model. So this truck behind me, named Drift, has been owned by a husband and wife team driver. It's been beautifully maintained inside and out. And I'd like to show you what Drift is looking like. I think this is going to be a great candidate for someone to pull their fifth wheel. Let me show you outside and inside what a nice find we have here in Drift. Drift has a D13 engine that's been programmed for 435 horsepower. And what I like about that is this truck has not been driven hard. Because the D13s can be programmed at various horsepowers, this is at the bottom end. So the owners of this truck, Drift, chose to program it lower so that they weren't stressing the system, weren't stressing the engine and transmission quite as much. And I think it's going to be very, very fuel efficient for whoever chooses this truck. It has the much coveted Volvo ishift automatic transmission, so there's no clutch on the floor. And you know, I'm really picky about finding non-smoking interiors. This one, I wish I could do scratch and sniff here on YouTube, but I can't. It's absolutely perfectly clean. This is a non-smoking truck, and also what tends to happen with the husband and wife team drivers is the wife has a very positive influence on how the truck is treated inside. So, you know, things like shoes coming off and keeping it really, really clean is something that naturally happens with a husband and wife team. Before we purchased Drift, we really took our time to inspect him. The couple brought the truck to our shop, and 3 of us went over this truck. So we have a total of 12 hours of inspections into this truck, and he checked out beautifully. So he's been test driven, oils, just overall the whole mechanical and operational condition of the truck is great. We've done a few things already to the truck just on the outside. You'll see that the lenses have been polished top and bottom. But take a look at that front bumper. Very nice. I'm also happy to show you the condition of rock chips. They're very, very few. To my eye, I think this grille looks great. It does need a bug screen if you're going to be traveling in the summertime, which we tend to do with our RV haulers. So I'll try to get the angle right and show you. There's a chip there. I have to look up here for another one. And then down here I've got less than average that I'm used to seeing. So there's a little bit bigger one. You'll see I've got a few here. But that's how the lower bumper chrome looks like. The lower lens. And it looks sharp. This is just some moisture from this morning, some dew. For steer tires, we've got Michelin's on the front, and they don't need to be replaced. Those will have lots and lots of life left in them. The front wheels do need to be polished. You'll see that here's where the Alcoa sticker was, and you can see the difference between what it was like when it was new and, you know, it's rough, kind of a matte finish, so that needs to be polished. I also have a chip in the paint right here, and I know what's happened here. Many times while the front steer tire is turning, it might pick up a rock, and I know when I look back here, this hasn't been in an accident or anything, but if you, that's hard to see, but if you look back in here, a rock struck this and chipped the paint out from the inside out. So you know, structurally this is fine, but it needs to be painted, so we'll take care of that. It needs a new front windshield. It has a crack in it. The next blemish, there are two. So there's a small chip underneath here, and then another one right there. I think a little bit of sanding and some touch-up paint would take care of that one. And here on the leading fairing, behind the sleeper, there's one rock chip there, one little one in there, and there. And then I can't find any others when I look up, so that's great. It has 125-gallon tanks on it. Right there, 125. I also want to show you, in our inspection, the airbags need to be replaced. What I'm going to do is I have the leveling mechanism disconnected temporarily, and I'm going to overinflate this airbag, and you'll see on the bottom edge in a moment. There we go. Do you see that little crack? So we've got some checking in the airbag right there. So I think the airbag and shocks should both be replaced. I'll put this valve back on. Let that settle down. Now I did take the decking off back here, the aluminum decking, so that we could see, you know, the condition of the sleeper overall. There was one of their hoses was hanging here, air lines, and that's a rub spot. So there too, I think that if you put a drum box on here, that's going to be covered, but I would just paint that, make sure that it doesn't progress. I did give it a quick bath. You can see the marks from my pressure washer. But the inside of the frame is great. As a 2011, you would expect it to be in good shape like that. But this hasn't been on the salt. Now the tires that I have on the back, these are retreads. They're more of an aggressive design. You'll see that there's some siping in here. It does have a solid shoulder, so these will be quieter tires. You know, and the tread is quite deep. If you look how far my pinky goes in there. If you're not adverse to retreads, these would be fine. So that's something we can discuss, and you can decide how you want to have this truck outfitted. If you want to run those tires for a few years, you would never wear these tires out in your travels. You would age them out. What would happen is here on the sidewall, we would, just because of weathering, we would start to see some checking, but you can see, you know, these don't have any sign of that yet. So there's lots of life left in these tires, but you can definitely see that these are retreads. There's the inside of the rear frame. I'll point out to you, these rear tires, or the rims, the Alcoa rims, they need to be polished too. There's some small, you can see the marks just with time that there's wear in there. I'd like to polish them up. I took the exhaust off so you could see the condition of the back of the sleeper better from this side. This truck had fenders on it. So he had stainless steel fenders that went over this wheel, and of course these wheels are protected by a trailer when you pull it, so rocks don't come up off those rear tires towards the sleeper. It's usually this set of wheels that create any damage to the back of the sleeper. The fenders did a nice job of keeping it in good shape. The body and paint condition on this side of the truck is even better than the driver's side. I don't see a single chip there. Yeah, not a one. I do have one. Where was it? Here it is. Got that one. I have one scratch. I think it might have gone by like a bush or something, and this is just in the clear coat, and I'll be able to polish that scratch out. I'm not worried about that one. So, you know, brake, axle, nice and clean. I'm always looking for, you know, if there's been a history of leaks on the engine, was, you know, everything will accumulate on the frame and on the hoses in behind, and I don't have that. I do have a leak that I know I'll be able to fix. Where was it? I soaped it. It's up in here somewhere. I'll have to deal with that connection. So other than the air leak, we had very little to address in here. All dry. When we looked at the belts, I think I'd like to take care of them. When I looked at their history of maintenance, I don't see any cracking when you look on the other side of these belts, but I think they're just of the age where I'd like to proactively replace them. I'll take you around the other side. Passenger side of this D13. We've carefully gone over it, looking for coolant, oil leaks along the exhaust, looking for any kind of small exhaust leaks in any of the clamp locations, and it's great. I don't see any sweating on the engine when we look through it. Same from the bottom. When we look down here, oh, while we're going by, look at the frame. Not a speck of rust up here. All the lines look really good. And as you can tell, no leaks there either. One of my favorite places to look for rust is under that door, and there isn't a speck of it on the driver's side here. Looks good. Both seats are perfect. Very little wear on the steering wheel. You can see originally it has a bit of a dimple in the finish, and out here where their hands have been resting, it's smooth now. But really nothing that bothers me. Very clean truck. Really well taken care of. We've gone through it electrically, looking at the computer system as well, and there's nothing in the way of codes or historical logs that concern me. Mileage on the truck, is, I'll call it 634,000 miles. Oh, look at that. And as always, I never tend to get a truck that has a full tank of gas. Gee, these drivers are really good at giving me an empty tank. The diesel exhaust fluid on the left hand side, that one's full. Oh, remember I told you about that air leak that I've got? You can see that the front tank has drained down overnight more than the rear tank. So those always get addressed in our singling process. So the floor down here looks really nice. I did vacuum. The carpet is super. Passenger seat looks really nice too. Now, I mentioned that this was a husband and wife team driver truck. When they ordered this truck, they did not order it with the rear workstation. However, I have ordered, and I have already, the table and brand new cushions for replacing this bed in the back. So I've got all that ordered from Volvo. Table that goes up and down. There's two supports that go in the back wall here and here where the table clips into. That will all be taken care of in our work. So we have the netting for the top bunk and the bottom bunk. Let me grab this guy and show you how this looks. So I have some marks in the wall here that we haven't really cleaned this truck at all. I'm going to work at that with the steam cleaner, and that's dirt. That's not a wear mark. That's a dirt of some sort. So something was sitting up here, I think, at one time. I'll be able to clean those up. I'm confident we'll get those removed. But the ceiling and walls are super. Now remember, because it was a team driver, they wanted the beds, right? What she told me was she wasn't interested every night in taking the bed apart and putting the table down and making a bed. They just wanted to be able to stop and sleep. So that's why they chose this configuration. Refrigerator, really good, clean. So two drawers. Those are the window coverings for the two back windows. Nothing there. That's the net for the bottom passenger bunk. There's the controller for our inverter. Position for a CB radio. This is the microphone for the Bluetooth that's built into the stereo. And on this side, microwave or Keurig coffee pot or whatever you want can go in that location. There's the clothes cabinet, clothes closet, curtain rod, and that lower cubby is where we tend to put our porta potties. Thanks for joining me on the tour of Drift, this 2011 Volvo 730. If you're interested in having this truck customized to your liking, contact us at www.rvhaulers.ca. Thanks for watching my video.